Now, I want to break this into two sections because so many general managers, which is who I target, the dealers and the general managers, and probably you too. Okay. They have the same, we'll call it a problem because you said we have to solve problems. They have the same problem. We have to teach our managers, our salespeople, how to communicate with customers. Their job is to close. And then we have a BDC or an internet department, and they may not be, they're closing people on the appointment, but their mentality is a little bit different. They're not trying to close, they're not trying to sell the car, they're trying to get that appointment. So let's talk to the internet department right now about give. We're going to offer information when we have them on the phone or through text message or messenger. First, let me ask you this. Do you think it is okay to give information through text and Facebook Messenger to someone who hasn't got an appointment yet?
100%. Because, and this is, again, everything I'm about to tell you inside Cardone University is where we get this information from Grant Cardone. It's not about the way that I want to communicate. It's about the way the customer wants to communicate.
5 stars. Proceed.
So if the customer wants to text, then I will text them because that's what they want. If they're on Facebook and they want to use Messenger, if they want to talk to me on the phone, if it's email, I'm adapting to the customer. I was just on a mastermind call where I was coaching somebody who was in solar, and he was great through the big claim, and he was great all the way up until the point where he was going to schedule the appointment, and he went back to 1989 and said, well, I'm really busy and I only have 2 spots available. And I'm like, dude, this is 2020. I'm on the phone with guys that do $200 million worth of business. What do you think that he would say to me if I said, well, sir, I've only got 2 spots for you to be there? He'd be like, if you're too busy, then go somewhere else. My response is, you tell me what time works for you, and I will move my calendar for you because you're important. So the time, even if you have another appointment there, schedule 2 appointments. I would rather have 2 appointments at one time than 0 appointments at any time. It's a bigger problem.
It is a bigger problem. And, we are problem solvers. And Dave, I want to explain to you and everyone who's watching why I do this show. See, Brady Roberts, who's just commented right here, he is an amazing salesperson. He's an amazing appointment setter. He is one of my sales managers who has closed several dealers on our product. And Brady just said, I haven't thought about that. The numbers gets more attention than a general statement than a general statement. So, Brady is trained by me every day. Brady is on COD, which is Cardone on Demand, every day. He takes his training seriously, does more than he's asked to do. But sometimes having someone like you on here who we know the same playbook, we talk the same language, I could start a conversation that you could finish. You could start a pitch that I could finish. But sometimes, even though Brady's been under Cardone on COD, he's been under me for over 2 years now, Dave gets on here, says it in a way or something that he didn't catch the first time. So this is why we do these shows. Yes, I'm a sales expert, but I'm not so arrogant to think that I can teach my people everything. They can get something from someone else. So that's why I wanted them on here today to watch this. And so I wanted to bring that out. Now let's talk to the sales department, like Brady and like the sales managers. Okay. We have to solve their problems. So many people run from problems, but if a dealer, you know this as good as I do, dealers are hard to get on the phone, the decision maker, right? But if you get them on the phone, you better be ready. What type of problems do you solve that allow you to sell your product and to scale into a bigger market?
So first off, if your sales team or anybody is taking notes, write this down. This is a principle that Grant Cardone taught me that it changed every way, everything that I view a problem could be. So number one, the harder they are to get to, the easier they are to close. The harder they are to get to, the easier they are to close. So if you're calling the car dealerships and you have to get through the receptionist, and then the receptionist sends you to the voicemail, and then you call back and you have to get to the GSM, and then the GSM sends you to the sales manager, and just for fun, they send you over to the parts manager, and then the BDC, and it takes you 15 calls before the GM says, I'm not interested. That is the guy that is the easiest to close. The reason he's the hardest to get to is because he wants to do business with people so much that he put a big gate up in front of them. So when you get that, do not be discouraged. That's the hardest part of the job is finding the guy that you can do business with. He's qualified. He has no time. He's got 3 gatekeepers. This guy is qualified. This is a guy that you never want to give up on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're always the easiest to close. I'll give you a prime example. You know, you and I have known each other for a long time.
Yeah, years.
Yeah, you know, and we never got on the phone together. You know, we never, you never pitched me. I was always running in one direction. You were, you know, busy closing other people. I was simply walking by your booth. I was already sold on your product, and we were in Las Vegas. I said, yes, I'll do that. I mean, you know, so
it was like I was like, Billy Merritt. You said Dave Robards. Hey, we got this thing. Yeah, sign me up.
Exactly.
Literally, that was the deal.
That's right. So, you know, I want you to speak specifically to my sales managers now. So, Kevin Tinajero, Felipe Tinajero, Chan Hughes, and Brady Roberts. Now, everyone else, pay attention because this can help you too. But I have a specific problem that I want you to help them with. Felipe has a good bit of car experience. These other guys have experience working for me just in this service sector that we're in now. They make the phone calls. They got good on the phone calls, but the things you were just talking about. They were getting frustrated. Now, look, nobody's been in more sales meetings with Grant Cardone than you have. What does he say to his salespeople like you? Now you're a manager and top 5 producer, probably number 1 or 2 producer. What does he say to you when he hears things like, "Man, I was doing it, but I can't get anybody on the phone. Nobody wants to talk to me." I'm just going back to what you were talking about earlier, but I want to use this opportunity to hit, and I love these guys, but I want to use this opportunity to hit them right between the eyes the way Grant Cardone would when someone on your sales team says, "I'm not having any success. This calling isn't working. It's hard, man. This is really hard. I can't get anybody to say yes."
Okay, so first off, I've said those words.
Okay.
I've said those words. And when I've said them, I couldn't believe I said them. And then I sent myself back, and this I've said it to myself, and I've been pushed this because we all need coaching, just like you. I'm not too arrogant to think that I don't need help myself. So Grant, if you haven't read the 10X rule, I highly suggest everybody go to grantcardone.com/10X or look up the 10X rule and get that book for your team. If you're already on Cardone On Demand, the book's inside Cardone On Demand, and you can assign sections. Grant talks about 4 levels of action. And the first level of action is do nothing, where you're just basically you're dead on a couch and you're not doing anything. Second level of action is you retreat. You go backwards, which is there's only one reason to retreat. That is to regroup for an attack. A lot of people were retreating in March and April from the COVID because they wanted to get away from it. Then there's the people that said, I'm retreating so that I can attack the marketplace. Then there's level 3, which is average amounts of action, which somebody that's saying that, somebody that says, I can't do this, it's not happening, blah, 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 they're stuck in level 3, average amounts of action, because they're doing what they're told to do and they're doing what everybody else has done. And then there's the 4th level of action, which is massive amounts of actions, plural. Okay, that's 10x times what everybody else is doing. Now, sometimes it's 100x. Now, here's the thing. The difference between level 3 and level 4 is the difference between Miami and the moon. That's the difference. That means that that person that is doing 10x level, massive levels of action, they're not just using the phone. They're using the phone. They're text messaging every client. They're hitting everybody on Facebook Messenger. They're in your DMs in IG. They're Snapchatting you. They're hitting you on LinkedIn. They're sending you personal messages. They're writing personal messages. They're emailing you links. They're doing it constantly. They do not show up at 8 o'clock and leave at 6. They start working, at 7:30 in the morning, and they're working till 8 o'clock at night. And they're working Saturdays and they're working Sundays, and because they have this purpose, they have this drive that they're going to be successful no matter what. And there's no excuses. And for somebody who, and recently I've had to say this to myself, so I'm okay with saying this to everybody else, is if something's happening to you, you are a victim. And nothing happens to you, it happens because of you. I'll say that one more time for the listeners. Nothing ever happens to you, it's happening because of you. So if nobody's picking up, if nobody's answering your call, if you can't get anybody on the phone, it's because of 3 reasons. 1 is your attitude. Your attitude is wrong. 2 is your actions are off. You're not taking enough action. Or 3, it's your approach. And this is Grant's rule of A cubed, Grant Cardone's rule of A cubed. Attitude, action, and approach. If I'm one of your managers, if I'm Kevin or if I'm Brady, and somebody's saying that to me, I'm going to sit them down as a professional, as a manager, somebody there to coach them. And I would say, tell me about your attitude. On 1 to 10, rank your attitude. On 1 to 10, rank your action. How much action are you taking? And if I know you, I know how many dials, I know what talk time they have, and I'm measuring that against what their potential is. And then if their attitude is they're just walking in and they're excited every day and they're taking more action than everybody else, then we need to work on their approach. We need to work on what they're saying and how they're saying it.